Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. Today, it is week 7 since I started studying Japanese again, and I wanted to go through kind of what I've been doing this week. So, I started using a new app to coincide that I talked about last week to kind of coincide and go alongside my studying in the Japanese from Zero textbook. So I've been using that for this whole week, and it's actually been going really well, actually. I had also started implementing or Anna has helped me start implementing the no more Netflix or YouTube or anything like that until I've studied my Japanese for at least an hour. And so I've been sticking to that all week, every day. And actually I've been doing it's been about 60 minutes in the Busuu app that I've been using, and then generally another 20 to 30 at least in the Japanese from Zero textbook. And I'm getting better about doing the textbook a little more, because that's where I'm getting a lot of the kind of, for lack of a better word, a lot of meatier stuff. Like, I'm getting a lot more information out of the book than I am the app. But yeah, so I've been really enjoying the Busuu app going alongside my learning. And so I wanted to kind of do just a real quick look at what the Busuu app is and kind of show you some of the things that it does. So with that, let's get into it. Okay, so this is the main screen of Busuu. So let's scroll all the way back up to the top. And once you've selected a language, this is what you're going to see. And so you can see beginner A1 up here. I'm about 47% of the way through the A1 course that it has. So close to halfway already. A lot of it is like the hiragana, like this guy here, and then later the katakana. Katakana, there we go. I've only done one of the katakana. Now the reason for that is that I like the way that the Japanese from Zero teaches the hiragana and katakana, mostly because it actually teaches me, for me personally, it teaches me better how to write the characters. And so I'm waiting to do these katakana lessons. Like, you'll notice that I haven't done this one that's highlighted here. It's the kaki kukeko. I haven't done that lesson for katakana. I skipped it and went to lesson 30, the Let's Count in Japanese. And then I skipped 31 with more katakana and went to the next one. And I did that all the way up until lesson 38 here. Is that the last one I did? Oh no, sorry. I also did 46 and 47. Because those are all of the ones that are not going to have katakana in them. And then after 47, it starts you into a few kanji, which I'm also waiting to learn. So, as of this specific moment, until I get caught up in the books, the Japanese from Zero books, for now, I'm going to solely use the review portion of Busuu, which I'll show in a second. So, the way Busuu works is when you go into a lesson, like let's say lesson 1 here, it'll show you right here, it'll show you right here underneath the lesson name and everything. When you select it, it'll show you that it takes about 7 minutes. And this is a rough estimate. Sometimes it takes less, and some people would take less time, some people would take more, so it just kind of depends. And then you would go in there, and it's going to have in this case, 3 different things here. So vocabulary, dialogue, and memorize. And so, like, if we go into repeat vocabulary here, it's going to give you these screens like this, where it's just a tip about learning Japanese. And then it'll tell you, so this one, I know generally you can't hear this playing with the way that I do this, but it would actually play the word, so it would be saying konnichiwa, and shows you the romaji and the hiragana both, as well as the English translation. And then sometimes if there's more than one word that it's teaching you, you could swipe left and right. Left and right, I'll just do that so you can see it. So you can swipe left and right, and it would show you the other word or words that it was teaching you in that time. So then you go, okay, and then it's going to do kon ni chiwa. So it's going to do things like this, where it has you select the correct, it's a fill in the blank, but it's fill in the blank in the middle of a word. So it'll do things like that. This one's talking about hajimemashite, and there's the hajimemashite. And then sometimes it'll do things like this, where it says, we say hajimemashite when we start introducing ourselves. And it'll ask you, is that true or false? This is true. And I believe that's what it talked about in the previous screen. So that's true. So let me continue. Watashi wa yoko desu. And here's one of the things that I like. At the bottom here, it'll show example. And it has an example sentence. Hajimemashite, watashi wa yoko desu. So the cool thing I like about this is it has an audio button here, right next to where it says example. So if you were to tap on that, it would play that sentence, the example sentence. And like in this case, the hajimemashite, watashi wa yoko desu, that's actually one that gets put into your review and you see every once in a while. But it's not always that case. Like there are some of them, I don't know if this next one, oh no, this next one's the same thing, watashi wa ken desu. But there are some of them that example sentence, actually a lot of them, that example sentence does not appear in your reviews. And so it's just kind of cool to have it in a sentence form so you can see kind of an example sentence of whatever word you just learned, or are learning, whichever. So then it walks you through the rest of this. This person is saying that he is Ken. That's true. Hajimemashite, blank wa Tanya desu. So if you, in this one, you would be listening to the audio up here, and you're supposed to select the word based on the audio. Or in this case, hajimemashite, konnichiwa wa Tanya desu does not make any sense. So it would have to be watashi, because hello, Tanya, versus I am Tanya. Hello, am Tanya, versus I am Tanya. Like, watashi is the only one that makes sense. And so it just kind of just, walks you through the lesson there. The dialogue is pretty cool because it'll just give you a dialogue like this, and it'll play it for you one time. And then when you go to continue, then it has you fill in random words from the conversation. So, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. And then he would say, hajimemashite, watashi wa ken desu. Some of that can be done just by process of elimination, because you only have three choices. So there's really only a select number that it could be. And then we go, Ken-san, hajimemashite, watashi wa yoko desu. Dozo yoroshiku. Cool, done. And that's all there is to the dialogues. And they get more complex as you go along. So, oops, sorry, it's the wrong button there. Go back to the main screen here. Then we go to the review screen. And this is one of the things that I like about this. You have up at the top here, there's medium words, strong words, and weak words. So this is, as you're going through and reviewing and learning words, it will put them into one of these categories. So in this case, I have one medium word, and that medium word is arigatou gozaimasu. The reason for that is because my fingers got tied up a couple of times trying to type arigatou gozaimasu, and ended up typing it wrong. And so that popped it into the medium words, so it's going to pop up a little more frequently in the review until it becomes a strong word again. And then you have your list of strong words. It'll actually, if you tap on that, you can go through, and this is the list of all your strong words, and this is your negative words. And then if you have weak words, then you can select that, and it'll show you those. So, and then if you hit review now, then it's just going to take you through a random review. And then in this case, it'd be like type what you hear. And a lot of times for me, I actually will switch my keyboard to this because I'm working on solely recognizing the hiragana, and I've been doing pretty well. So I use this unless because there's some things about this keyboard that I haven't figured out. So there are times that I will just switch back to this keyboard, but switch it into Japanese mode. So when I'm typing in something like, I believe this one is ore, then it's gonna type it in hiragana. And so that's it for the review. This next section is a social section. It's kind of a social networking type thing, where you can see other people that are, so like this guy's a French speaker and he's learning English, and this is one of the exercises he did. You can correct the exercise. This person's from Germany, they speak German and I believe Arabic is that one, and you can like view their little thing. if you want to. So this person speaks Japanese and is trying to learn English. Okay, cool. It's like you can go through here and like get a bunch of just random friends that speak what your target language, and they can correct your exercises. Because every once in a while it'll have you do exercises that go out into the social ether, as it were, and anybody can go and correct them. Now this is the only gripe I have about this part, because the idea of it's really cool, because then you get some native speakers that are helping you to fine-tune your Japanese or Mandarin or French or German or whatever. But you also get people who are not native English speakers who think they have a good knowledge of the language, or whichever language it is. And they will then, because I've seen this when I've corrected a couple of them, is that there was somebody that was from Brazil that or something like that, that obviously was not a native English speaker, tried to correct somebody, and their correction of that person was also incorrect, and so I had to correct both of them. And so you kind of have to, it's kind of a catch-22 thing, like there's some good and some bad with it. And then there's notifications, so if anybody corrects your exercises, or somebody, asks you to correct it, and then you have your profile spot there at the last. But if we go back here, up in the top right corner, you'll see a check mark. And this is one of my absolute favorite things about Busuu. If we click on this check mark, because it's not always a check mark, the rest of the week it will be a pie chart. This is my study plan. So the study plan works, so I have it set at the highest it can be, so the highest amount of time, which is 30 minutes per day. Now I've been doing 60 minutes, so if you look, so down here underneath week 2 and the 427, it'll show daily goal. I've studied 63 minutes today out of 30 today at Sunday. So that means total with this 63 added to all the other time that I've studied this week, which was at least an hour, if not more, comes to 427 minutes out of the 210 that I had set the study plan for. And so that's a good way to keep track, and it shows the blue check marks on the days show that those were days that I completed my study plan. I reached the goal for that day. So then if we go down here, it shows fluency. Now this is one gripe that I have about this. It shows that I'm 12% fluent in Japanese, which means I'm 12% of the way to the B2 level, which is what I have selected. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But there is no true way to measure your actual fluency in the language from a gauge like this. Okay, I'm 12% of the way to a B2. That can mean different things for different people. And so it's just really hard. Like, I always ignore this fluency percentage because to me it means pretty much nothing. And then if we go down here where it says your goal, so when you set up your study plan, one of the things that it asks you is, I don't know if it'll let me here. Oh yeah, I have to go to settings. It'll ask you, what level do you want to achieve? Do you want to achieve an A1, just be able to introduce yourself and ask simple questions? You want to be an A2, which is impress my friends by socializing in Japanese. A B1, which is talk about, an intermediate, which is talk about my favorite bands, movies, food, and TV shows. Or B2, an upper intermediate, which is understand most of a movie or TV program. So you select which level of fluency you want to get to, because Busuu, in theory, will take you up to a B2 at highest. And once you have that selected, then it will walk you into this part where it's like, okay, how many days a week do you want to study? And I put every day. And let's say, okay, about what time do you generally want to study? And I just put 3:05 because that's like right when I've gotten home. And so I'm like not doing anything, I'm not distracted, and I will pay attention if it alerts me. That's not what I've been studying, but that's just what I have it set. And then it'll let you select the number of minutes per day, as low as 5, which I don't recommend 5 or 10. I would recommend 20 at the minimum, most likely, especially if we're wanting to get into a high level of fluency fairly quickly. And then you can turn notifications on and off. And then it'll generate your study plan and you'll be good. So and then it will say, okay, you should be able to reach upper intermediate level of B2 by October 4th of 2020. That's another part that I don't like, because yes, I may reach it by then. I may reach it a little bit earlier. I may not reach it until, a few months later or something like that. It's just really hard to actually gauge that. So that is all done. And then it would set you up like that. Boom. So, yeah, there we go. So yeah, that's I think that's pretty much everything that we can go through in this app. All right, so yeah, that was the Busuu app. Like I said, I really have been enjoying that app as far as kind of helping complement what I'm doing in the Japanese from Zero series. And hopefully I can get caught up in Japanese from Zero, get through the second book up there on the shelf so that I can have the katakana ready. And then I can start moving on with within Busuu as well, because once I finish the second book, which is the katakana, then I can move on to the third, which is the kanji, and then I will be pretty much or fairly even within the book, the Japanese from Zero books, as well as the Busuu app. One of the other things I'm going to start doing here soonish, I don't know when, but soonish, is that I'm going to sit down and take the vocab lists out of the Japanese from Zero book. I'm going to take those and I'm going to put them into Anki so that I have a flashcard system, because that's one of the things I've been noticing in myself is like there are some things that I can say in Japanese. I can ask I can ask what color your car is. I can ask what's your mother's name, what's your friend's name. Like I can ask things like simple things like that. But I don't yet have the vocabulary, an extensive vocabulary, in order to be able to ask, to make other statements or ask other questions or anything like that. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to try to work on, is if I can get that vocabulary up, which I'm generally pretty good at doing, like memorizing things. If I can get my vocabulary up, then I can start to build more different sentences as well as more complex sentences. Hopefully. That's the idea anyway. So hopefully I can get around to that. Like I said, hopefully this week, but it might. I'll probably start it this week. I don't know if it'll finish it this week, but then I'll be able to use a combination of the book, Busuu, and Anki. And so my time will probably be spread. So my self-imposed requirement of 1 hour of Japanese per day is going to now, instead of pretty much being solely on Busuu and then a little bit in the book, is going to be spread between 30 minutes of Busuu to fulfill the study plan requirement, and then probably another at least 30 minutes, if not more, of Anki, just studying the vocab words, as well as another at least 30 minutes to an hour of study, just straight study in the book. I want to try to get through a full lesson in a day as much as possible. It's only about 13 lessons per book, so that would make it so that I could get through the books fairly quickly and get to a point where I'm starting to, my learning is starting to move a little faster. So, but yeah, that's a look at the kind of how I've been doing this week, and a look at a really kind of great app that I've been using recently. Like I said, I really, really like Busuu. It's just been such a great app for me in the way that I study. It's been really good at getting me back into it and kind of keeping me from getting distracted as much. It just kind of gives me something different to look at, and that's one of the things that I recommend, is if you kind of find yourself in a rut, just try a little bit of something, even if you only do something like Busuu or memorize just something like that for like a couple of days. It kind of gives your brain a break from like just the book study, or staring at the same apps over and over again, or this like the dictionary or whatever you happen to be doing. It kind of gets you into something different, and that's kind of one of the things that's been helping me. So, but yeah, so with that, I will see you all next week, but don't forget to thank the Phoenicians.